Hey, what's up guys? Min City here back again with another video, and today we are taking a look at Cyberika, which is a cyberpunk MMORPG available on the App Store. The link to the game is in the description down below for iOS as well as Android if it's available for Android. Now let's get right into it. The good stuff. I really enjoyed the soundtrack of Cyberika. There's a wide variety of tracks. They're all sci-fi themed, Tron-esque so to speak, and they really add to the immersion of the game. And since there's such a wide variety, you don't find yourself getting sick of just one track that's repeating over and over again, especially when you're driving in your car and you're just vibing out to a cyberpunk-esque track. It's just really good, really helps add to the world building of this game, and it's definitely a huge positive for me. Now, there are a ton of items to unlock and things to unlock in this game. There's a ton of loot to get from enemies or from quests. There's tons of crafting parts and stuff that you can use to create a ton of different items. There's so much loot in this game, and the character building as far as when it comes to equipable items is quite vast. It's really good. If you enjoy stat crunching or you enjoy really tailoring your character's stats to your playstyle, this is a game where you can do that, and there's a lot of depth, and that's where a lot of the addiction lies when it comes to progression. Now that brings me to another thing. The progression of this game is very consistent and it's very addicting, especially within the first 2 hours of the game. You feel like you're consistently making progress, and it's because of all of those items and upgrades and craftable things that I mentioned earlier, and you can just really start getting into your character and making them how you want when it comes to their stats. So if you enjoy that type of stuff, this game has that in spades. But those are definitely the biggest things that I think are good in this game. Now let's move on to the bad stuff. The bad stuff. Now this game is created by the makers of Last Day on Earth, which is a zombie survival crafting game with light multiplayer elements. Now, ever since they made that game, it was a hit, it is fun, but they've basically reskinned it into a fantasy version of it, and then they reskinned it into a co-op centric fantasy version of it, and now you see the cyberpunk version of it with Cyberika. So that can be seen as kind of a bad thing or part of the bad stuff, because it does seem like they're putting in minimal effort and just kind of going along with whatever trend is happening in gaming with the theme. They do throw in unique things into each iteration that add new things, but it's not enough to set it apart and make it feel like a different game. So it basically comes down to what theme do you prefer more. Now, if you haven't played any of their more previous games, then this isn't going to be a bad thing to you, and you're going to have fun with what's on offer here. Now, as far as MMO, that's a stretch. Occasionally, you do see people running around in the hub areas, but whenever you're on a quest, it just feels like a single-player game. I've never had another player on a quest with me at all. It feels like more of a single-player RPG than an MMO, which is kind of disappointing. Maybe Endgame involves more multiplayer elements, but at least for the first 2 hours of the game, you feel like you're just playing a single-player game. Now, monetization, they basically create problems in this game and then sell you the solution. For instance, whenever you're traveling between different areas, you have to hop in your car, right? Makes sense. But sometimes the waiting of getting to a new area is a long time, a couple minutes, for instance, or even longer. Now, whenever you're doing that, you can press on the gas and manually control it to go get there faster, and it'll quicken the time. But then they also offer a skippable thing, so it'll just skip the entire sequence and you can instantly get there for a currency that you can purchase. So that's one of the instances where they create problems or create hindrances or make things annoying for you, and then they sell you the solution. Now, there's a ton of things to buy in this game, and it's basically the same thing, just items that will make your life easier and make things not as annoying. So just keep that in mind with its monetization. Combat is pretty boring. There's not a lot of skill involved with combat itself in real time, other than kiting whenever you have a ranged weapon, but that's about it. All in all. Now, if you haven't played any of this developer's previous games like Last Day on Earth or any of the other ones, I'd be more inclined to encourage you guys to check this one out because there's definitely fun to be had in this. It definitely has a cyberpunk theme that feels different in theme, at least from the previous games. But if you haven't played any of the previous games, you're definitely going to have fun with this, and you're not going to be constantly feeling like, oh, this is just a reskin of what I've already played. Now, if you've already played one of the previous ones, then I'd say just skip it unless you really like the cyberpunk theme. And like I said, with all the bad things, hopefully if those are deal breakers, don't check it out. So all in all, definitely check it out if you haven't played their previous games, but this is just more of the same. It's nothing that's going to blow your mind. All right, guys, that was my first impressions of Cyberika. Please leave a like and pop a sub if you guys are new or you enjoy mobile gaming content, because that's all I make on this YouTube channel. It really helps out small channels like mine. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. I hope you're staying safe and take it easy.